And welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Around the Bases with Bubba and Mo, episode 92. The hot stove is scorching yet again. This is completely different than last year. And in order to break it all down with me is my co-host, as always. You can find him on Twitter at Boston_Mo. Mo, how are we doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing well. It seems kind of crazy. It seems like an NBA kind of. Oh yeah, nice hat, nice. That's cool. Yeah. For those of you who don't watch on YouTube, it's he's got a Dolphins hat on. That's wonderful. Yeah. I'm gonna end the podcast now. See you later. I'm gonna off and play some video games, maybe some FIFA. Who knows if I have enough time? But yes, tough loss there. You can keep it on the whole show. It's fine. You can keep it on the whole show. No big deal. But yes, that was a tough game for the Patriots. I don't understand why Rob Gronkowski's out there for him Hail Mary play when you're 75 yards away and not even Jamarcus Russell on both of his knees could throw it to the end zone. So that was a tough one. Tough loss. Granted, I did bet the Dolphins. So
that's smart. They always suck in Miami.
I know. This seemed to be a different one because you had Brandon Bolden and Frank Gore running all over everybody, but I don't know.
Yeah, pretty wild. But we'll leave that at that. I had to have a little fun with my co-host here because usually it's always the Red Sox won the World Series or the Patriots did this. There's not a lot I get to have fun with on this show, so I had to have fun with it.
But again, I'm the rational Patriots fan. I don't go all bozo on it and talk about how good they are and yada yada yada. They're pretty self-explanatory. But back to my main point, this baseball, especially today after I got home from work and was able to kind of look at Twitter and Ken Rosenthal and our buddy Bobby Nightingale, and Bobby Nightingale Jr. is probably all over it. I haven't looked at him. But it seems to be a more NBA-ish winter meetings in terms of the rumor central that is happening.
There are a ton of rumors. I think it's really funny. Heyman has been called out a couple times, but Bobby had one today. The MLB network, this is what it is made for, is the winter meetings, like literally everything all the time. And I believe it was, I can't remember which beat writer was on set. It wasn't Stark. It might have been, I can't remember now, but they were talking about, they put a tweet up from Bobby Nightingale about a rumor of a trade and basically flat out said, there's no way this trade's happening. This is one of those things at the winter meeting that never makes sense because it isn't true.
See, could be Rosenthal.
It might have been Rosenthal, yeah. What's the other guy? What's the other guy? I can't remember.
Joel Sherman?
He's tall, skinny. God's going to kill me when he does it. He does a lot of the major games. I'll check it out later. I'm sorry. I'm ruining it. But it might have been Rosenthal. It was hilarious, basically shooting down Bobby Nightingale right on national television. I almost texted you immediately.
Well, they started talking. So all I can do, my job now is listen to sports radio. And literally all they did in Boston today was talk about Bobby's tweet about Porcello possibly being traded. And as soon as they said Nightingale, I was like, well, this isn't happening. So we're good. We're sticking for one more year of the window.
Yep, all good for one more year. So let's get into it. Like I said, lots of stuff going down since we last recorded, which is great. It's what we need because pretty soon it's going to dry up real quick. So let's get at it. Red Sox, your boys. You thought this was a possibility, but not quite how it happened. They bring back their October legend himself, Nate Eovaldi, but on a 4-year, $68 million deal. Yeah, he's not that old. Yeah, he pitched great in the postseason. But, man, did he pitch in the postseason, Mo. How do you like this 4-year deal?
All right, do I love what he did in October? Of course. What Red Sox fan wouldn't? What fan wouldn't for a guy that literally pitched almost – it felt like he pitched every day or at least warmed up every day, sort of like David Price did in that World Series. That doesn't mean you overpay for him here, and which they definitely did because this guy's only pitched over 154 innings – once in his career. That was 199 with the Marlins. The rest of the years were like under 115. He had Tommy John surgery twice, the most recent in 2017. I really wish they spent most of this money on the bullpen. Now, we know the Red Sox, they've got plenty of money. Teams like the Red Sox and Yankees, the Phillies, you're going to see them start spending money. Even the White Sox should be throwing money out there. Your Giants, the Dodgers, there are 10 teams that have an unlimited amount of money that can get that back, and it really doesn't matter, and they don't care about it. The Red Sox are one of those teams. Having said that, when you have three guys, and probably 4 with JD, who are going to be free agents in Sale, Porcello, Xander, and JD, who will probably opt out, is what I would guess. He has another monster year. And next year, you've got Mookie that's going to come up too. You have to prepare for all of this. You're going to lose the Pablo money next year. But now you add Eovaldi, and that's the only reason I think they sort of did this, was they said to themselves, okay, we've got Price for 4 more years at $30 million. We could lose Sale. We could lose Porcello. We've got to have somebody there, especially with nobody coming up in the system right now, because Jay Groom's not going to be ready for a couple of years with his stuff. And, we talked about Hernandez last week, and Jason thinks he's more of a Josh Hader type. That's the reason why I think they did this. And last thing I want to say is this is a different Eovaldi, where last year he threw a ridiculous cutter, and it went all the way up from like 4% to 31%. So he was throwing less of his four-seam fastball and more of a cutter. That was just stupid. I mean, it really was stupid. So maybe he can sort of build on that and have a very, very good season. If he gets to 170 innings, consider that's 170 innings, around 3.9, 4.1 ERA. This is probably a good contract for now. I would have rather seen like 236, something like that.
Yeah, the money lines out, but yeah, the years, if he stays good for 4 years, is great. But yeah, what you said makes sense, and it kind of leads me to my next question for you, because you hit everything else. One of the big rumors today was, I think it's the one Ken Rosenthal actually shot down, or at least they talked about, was the rumor of the Red Sox wanting to maybe trade Porcello or JBJ or one. They mentioned Bogarts, and everybody on the MLB set laughed at that one. Basically to start shoring up some money, because they're about to hit that luxury tax threshold, and they're going to need to do something quick because they want to still be under this luxury tax, but still have some money in the next couple of years to go get more guys. How do you think they go about that? Do you think there's really validity in them trading a JBJ or a Porcello?
JBJ, yes, only because he's going to make, I think MLB trade rumors, but without looking it up, is around like $7 million. So that's a good chunk of money where, you throw that and another $8 million to a Jerry's Familia or an Andrew Miller for a couple years, and that will give an extra bullpen guy in case Brazier or Matt Barnes doesn't work out as the closer. Then we're going somewhere, and you could probably get an okay prospect. I know the Diamondbacks have been in there. I can't see them trading Xander. I can't see them trading Porcello, because they have 1 year left. It's not going to bring back a great prospect for 1 year if a team like the White Sox can't re-sign them right away. It's not going to happen. That's the only way a trade like that. And the thing I mentioned before, that 1 year window. I mean, we mentioned when we first started the podcast a couple of years ago, when the Chris Sale deal was made, it was a 3-year window for the Red Sox. Second year they won a World Series. You've got to go balls to the wall again and hope that you're able to rebuild that farm system on the run.
Yeah, no, that's kind of what they're saying is you got to go for it. You got to try to get the back-to-back. You can't be thinking about stuff like that. If you pay the price, you pay the price. But a team like you have right now is pretty loaded. Cora came out today and said, yeah, I do it all the time. We've talked about this on the show.
I know.
Yeah, if you're a first-time listener, go listen to a few ones back. That's all I ever do is Joey Cora. But Alex Cora was saying, and then for a fantasy week twist, we could talk about this real quick. I'm pumped. He's saying Benintendi's leading off with Betts batting second. Like, I've always thought Benintendi was a 25-plus steal guy. This lets him get on base and run wild. It also gets him better pitches to hit when you have the MVP hitting behind you. And plus, then Betts still has JD and company behind him. Both those guys are going to benefit from this setup. There's more guys for Betts to drive in. I think that is amazing. And like last year I kind of got laughed at by some when I had Benintendi as my 9th outfielder off the board. I have him in the top 10 again this year. I might even move him up a couple more. I think this kid is a legit 20, 30 type guy, hitting over 300. Now you got leading off in an offense like that. I don't know what your thoughts are, but Benintendi leading off with Betts second, I think it's scary. I think it's way better than last year's setup.
Yeah, I know. I completely agree. I mean, Betts last year only 80 RBIs, obviously because he was the leadoff hitter. So he probably will get over that 100 RBI mark now. I'm sure the runs will come down just slightly, but not too much. So you're going to see more RBIs with Mookie. If he somehow bats over 340 again with and then gets to 100 RBIs as well, I mean, it's there. I mean, you could see him. I don't know if he's gonna be the number one guy, but he's closer with more RBIs for sure. And then, like you said, Benintendi, more steals. It'll be. I like the move. I like the move a lot by Cora, and the fact that he announced it today got my blood flowing. Let's start the season right now, please.
Yeah, that's one thing on these winter meetings so far. The managers have done. They've let some secrets out of the bag already. We don't really have a ton of Diamondback talk. We have a trade they were made. We'll talk about it in a minute, but Lovello basically came out and said Archie Bradley's his closer. That's big news. That clears up a few question marks. And then Woodward of Texas let everybody know that Leclerc, who was dynamite as a closer last year, he's going to be more like what Bradley was last year for the Diamondbacks, or he's going to pitch in whatever inning is most important. If it's the 7th and 8th inning combined, that's what they're going to do. They're not going to solely focus him on the 9th inning role. So a couple nuggets fantasy-wise that came out so far, and we're still another couple days.
Yeah, and I think Charlie Montoyo, who's coming from Tampa, I just saw it on MLB Network as well. They kind of asked him, "What are you going to bring over from Tampa?" And he said, and we'll talk about this later, but more shifts. We use that a lot in Tampa. We're going to try to use that as much as we can in Toronto. And then the opener. If I have the guys that I think do it, we're going to do the opener in Toronto. So this is just it. The more Rays guys that they hire, the like Rocco Baldelli and whoever else, the more we're going to see this stuff. And it's Brian Kenny's going to just love baseball even more than he already does.
They're going to have to raise the desk at MLB Network so you can sit underneath it.
That's right. That's right. He can't fit his head through the door either. So whatever head you want to talk about. But let's move on to the Cardinals. They made the deal. They did. They got Paul Goldschmidt. They have him for 1 year. I'm sure they're going to try to re-sign him. But right now it's for 1 year. Trading, Luke Weaver and Carson Kelly and then another minor league player. This is another trade, in my opinion, that is good for both sides. It helps the Cardinals be competitive now, and it gets the Diamondbacks to what they kind of want to do, which is sort of rebuild. What are your thoughts?
It's great on so many levels. Like you said, it's great for both sides, at least I think it is. There's a lot of reactions out there that aren't really thinking it's fair, and I think it's very fair.
Pissed.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are pissed, but like you look at the St. Louis side, you put Goldschmidt in that lineup, roster resource, give it for what it is. Carpenter, DeYoung, Goldie, Ozuna, that's a great top four. Kind of tinker with the bottom half however you choose. There's a lot of ways you can go about it there. It's great. Goldie gets to maybe be in a playoff race, like a real one, and like the one in Arizona that never really had a chance. And then the Diamondbacks, they get back two guys. Like, let's think about it. Weaver and Carson Kelly are two what used to be top-end prospects, still pretty high-end prospects in the Cardinals system. And they're under control for 5 and 6 years each, where Goldie's gone. You're a rebuilding team. You want cheap, ownable assets. That's what you got back. You got two, and they're MLB ready right now. That usually doesn't happen in these deals. These guys are stepping in. Carson Kelly, he's your opening day catcher unless something crazy happens. And in the minors, he was hit pretty darn good. It didn't navigate to the pros, but I say it a lot. A lot of people say it a lot. These young kids aren't going to hit in the pros until they get consistent at bats. It's just common sense. He's going to get the chance to sink or swim, and I think it's great. Luke Weaver, maybe it's a change of scenery. Maybe the humidor is legit, and it helps the hell out of Luke Weaver. We know Jason Collette did a big study on Weaver. It was the third time through the lineup. Maybe Luke Weaver is a great opener type guy. Maybe Lovello looks at him because Lovello is smart. You said it. Maybe he goes, you know what? With Weaver here, we can really utilize him like innings 2 through 5 where he doesn't have to face the top of the order 3 times. Let's think about that for a second. That's an option. At the same time, he's only 23, I think, or 24. He's super young, 5 years of control. I don't hate it at all. I think it's a really good deal. It was obviously probably the best they're going to get in this situation. And it's really good for both sides. I think this is one of those deals that you hope you see more of stuff like this. There's the rumors of the Realmuto, Thor trades and all that, which I think are just ridiculous. This made a lot more sense.
Yeah, when you come up in the St. Louis Cardinals organization in the last, let's call it 15 years, when Yadi Molina is up there, it's got to be tough mentally to say to yourself, I'm not playing. I'm just not going to play because this is the cornerstone guy. He's just re-signed again. I'm supposedly supposed to be one of their top prospects, and I just am not. I know that I'm not going to play. That's got to be mentally tough. I think that the change of scenery will be great for Carson Kelly. Am I saying he's somebody to draft in fantasy? Probably not. But can he be a 270 hitter and hit 10 home runs? and be very good defensively, because that's what everyone has said he is, yes, he can do that. Luke Weaver, I think he even Sarah said it best. He still has a great changeup. I mean, he really does. Now, last year, was it good? No. Can he get it back with, again, a change of scenery? You mentioned the humidor. Is that a real thing? It could be. This could help him too. I think that this is a perfect change of scenery thing for them. The Cardinals aren't taking a huge chance because, again, like I just mentioned, Carson Kelly's not going to play. Luke Weaver got passed by Jack Flaherty as their stud guy. I think the one I've seen, I don't know if you've seen this, a lot of people think that they're going to move Carlos Martinez too. I haven't seen a ton of rumors. It seemed to be cooling down the last couple of days, but I've seen, because I do follow quite a bit of Cardinals people, that could happen. So again, with Miles Michaelis, Jack Flaherty, we've got Martinez, their staff's pretty good. They didn't really have a spot for Luke Weaver. So this is a good change of scenery for both of them, and the Cardinals are really going for it now. Did they get Bryce Harper? Probably not, but it's an outside shot.
Yeah, I don't see Bryce going there. I know that's the talk of Cardinals Nation these days, but yeah, there was nowhere for Weaver. Like you said, you got Carlos Martinez, who there's been rumors of possible trades, possibly being a closer. There's a lot of angles with him because we really don't know how his arm is. He was such a mess last year. Does he bounce back to old Carlos or not? We don't know. But you said it. They signed Waino. They still have Waka. You got Alex Reyes coming back. You had Ponce de Leon and Gomber pitched pretty well last year. They have a depth of pitching right now. Weaver had no job. He had to be gone. So I think it's going to work out really good. A change of scenery does people really, really, really good, especially at the young age. So we'll see how it plays out. Cleveland Indians did an extension that surprised me quite a bit because not so much that they gave it to him, but I didn't realize Carlos Carrasco was this old. Yep. I thought he was like in his 27 or something. No, he just got a 2-year extension. Technically, they bought out his 19 and 20 options. 2-year extension. So the next 4 years, the Indians only owe him $44 million, which to me, on paper, even if he gets hurt again, is an outstanding salary. Like, this is the most team-friendly deal I could ever think of because this might be Carlos Carrasco's last contract, in theory. This takes him through age 35, 36, I believe. He locks him down, and especially – it really surprised me the most, I guess, when there's rumors of them trading Kluber or Trevor Bauer, and now you lock down Carlos Carrasco, who to me, yes, he's been really good when he's healthy, but to me, he's third in line out of those three. So I guess he was the most affordable is what it comes down to. But, yeah, Carlos Carrasco locked down through 2022 with another option for 2023 of another $14 million. So the deal could go through 23 and total, I believe, $58 million. Great deal for him. Great deal for the Indians. Really good deal for the Indians. What's your thoughts here?
The Indians have a habit of doing this. They did it with Kluber. They did it with Carrasco before in 2015 when he signed the deal. It was originally a 4-year, $22 million deal, 2 $9 million options, which is basically his next 2 years. I think it was $9 million and $10 million, which is his last 2 years. And as you said, that's going to take him through his age 33 season. So he probably said to himself, do I wait, maybe get hurt again, or do I cash in now and just say, hey, I'll take the 38 million or whatever it is and call it a day, because he'll probably get that option because 14 million, you saw what Evaldi got. You've seen what other players are getting. He's probably going to pick up that option no matter what, unless something really bad happens. But I'm not sure he had a choice, to be honest with you, because he decided to lock his money in early in 2015. I think he would have been a free agent now, which would have been another interesting pitch to have out there. So I don't think he had a choice, to be honest with you, Bubba. I really don't. The Indians got lucky that they locked him in 4 years ago, and it ended up working out in their favor.
Yeah, I think it worked out really well. He said all the right things. He flat out said, I want to retire as a Cleveland Indian. So it worked out for everybody. Everyone should be happy. And he gets to face crappy baseball teams in the Central until he retires.
Well, when they have to pick up that option, maybe the White Sox and Royals and Tigers will finally be there, but we'll have to see. Speaking of the Twins in that division, do a nice little deal. And, hey, we talked about him last week because he got non-tendered by the Brewers. We thought that was probably the right move. He had a really, really bad year after having a great year in 2017. But this is a nice little move for the Twins to help that lineup. And and we'll have to see what happens if they make a move for a better DH than a Tyler Austin type. But what do you think about this one?
I think it's great. The Brewers are going to have to give him, I think, $17.5, $18 million, and he only goes for 7.5, and he's still only, I believe, 27 years old. So he's still technically, in baseball terms, entering his prime. I think it's a great deal for the Twins. The Twins have made some sneaky nice additions to that offense. You add C.J. Cron to either DH or play first base. Now you got Jonathan Scope at second. You still have Polanco at short. You have Sano coming back, hopefully healthy. He's probably still fat, but hopefully healthy, playing third base. You got Kepler, Rosario in the outfield. A lot to like there. A lot to like in that offense. If Gibson and Barrios can be something decent in the rotation, the Twins could actually be competitive this year. MLB Network took it a little far, and they had a comparison position by position with the Indians. The Indians' offense still trumps the Twins, but this is a big improvement. I really, really like what they've done here. They didn't spend much money. Hey, you never know. Maybe Buxton comes back and joins this. I think Scope's in for a nice bounce back year. You get him super late in fantasy drafts right now, or later than usual. You'd expect with Jonathan Scope. He's got 20-plus power, like 30-plus if he gets hot. He's not going to hit for a high average, but I think it's a good fit in Minnesota. He's going to have some boppers around him, so I like it a lot.
I kind of wish they go get one more starter, and then I would probably believe in them because, Odorizzi, although he was, better probably last year, I'm not the biggest fan of him. They've got Pineda, who we don't know, coming off Tommy John surgery, and then Mejia is their fifth guy. Barrios and Gibson, Gibson was very good. Obviously, we know what Barrios can do. I'd like to see them get one more starter if I'm going to really believe in them. Jonathan Scope, I think what you're looking at here, and if you look at his last 3 years, right? 2016, 25 homers, 267 average. And then the 2017, he had a great year, 32 and 105, 293. And you go to last year, the Orioles were terrible. He gets traded. He's not really playing every day. 21 homers, 233 average. He's probably somewhere in the middle, and it's probably more of the 2016 than it is the 2017/18, which is, again, 265. If he can get to 25 homers, it's not awful, but he doesn't walk a lot. It's just, for the Twins, it's a good contract. I'm just not sure I'm going to be in on him fantasy-wise as much as you probably would have after 2017.
Yeah, it all kind of depends on where he falls. I'm not going to be reaching for him by any means, but if he falls, like some guys we're seeing, we'll talk about a little later, and super early trying to analyze all that, but he could be bringing back a nice little return. All right.
Yeah. I don't know.
The Kansas City Royals, who we know are pretty, cheap, and they're going to be just kind of the smorgasbord of everything that happens. They made a couple moves this week, and a couple literal, you could picture the Kansas City Royals making these moves. The first of which is they went and signed Chris Owings. He was with the D-backs, like super utility type guy, little scrappy, middle infielder / outfielder. Fits the mold of Kansas City very, very well. 1 year, $3 million deal with some incentives involved. But the splash move they made is the Royals went and signed Billy Hamilton, a guy that last week, I wasn't the only one that wanted the Giants to go sign Billy Hamilton. Well, the Royals signed him to a 1 year, $4.25 million deal with incentives that go up to, I think, a little over $5 million with an option for the following year. So this could be a nice 2 year deal around $13 million, $13 million for Billy Hamilton, who's going to man center field. He's going to have all the pressure off his back. Ned Yost loves to bunt. You put him in an outfield with Alex Gordon and Brett Phillips, one of the top defensive outfielders in baseball. This could be very interesting. Plus, Whit Merrifield, Mondesi in the same lineup, they could steal over 200 bases combined. It's wild what could be happening in Kansas City. What do you think of these two moves?
Big ballpark in Kansas City, as we know. Billy Hamilton's going to get to roam that outfield. They are going to, like you said, steal 1 million bases. Ned Yost, I tweeted about it. He's going to be the one to fix them. He's going to let him bunt 1,000 times if he can and try to get him on base. We're going to see the third baseman maybe play like literally in front of the pitcher at times. I mean, that really could happen. It's not I'm not going to go deep into this because it's the Royals, and the Royals just aren't going to, there's not anything going to be there. But when you drafted Billy Hamilton last year, you said to yourself, okay, I'm getting 50 steals minimum. It's not going to be a problem. I know he can't get on base, but he's going to, going to get on base enough to get me to 50, and he had 34 steals. We were literally, I mean, he wasn't ownable anymore. I know that steals are hard to come by, but if you're getting killed in every other category pretty much, there's no point of owning him for that. Having said that, if Ned Yost can figure out a way to get him on base and get him back to the 50, 60 steals, then we can talk about owning him again. A quick note on Chris Owings, 2017, he only played 97 games. He batted like 268 with 12 homers and 12 steals. If he can get to that again, going to go from Diamondbacks Chase Field to Hoffman Stadium, doesn't help there. It really doesn't help at all in terms of power. So it's going to be tough. In deep, deep leagues, you probably take a flyer on him, just hoping that maybe he can get 15 with a 265 average.
Yeah, no, he's a long shot flyer. He's a guy that you'll see. He'll get playing time because some of these young guys aren't going to pan out. They're going to need a break or something. It's a real interesting lineup. They have Whit Merrifield and Mondesi 1-2. They have Billy Hamilton 9th. So eventually that wraps around with those three speedsters out there. It can be real interesting with those three guys. Like, seriously, speed for days. I'm curious to see how it plays out. But I guess if he can't be a giant, it's one of the better spots for him to go to. Yeah,
I agree. Couple more. We had Tigers sign Tyson Ross. This seems to be, last year it was Liriano. I think Mike Byers too they had. So they're taking their lumps and hoping that they can get something from, a 1-year deal on a starter like this. Tyson Ross was okay in the second half, ERA wise. Didn't strike a ton of guys out. It was not there. But he was okay. So maybe Detroit, they end up getting something for him at the deadline. And you've got all those young starters that are coming up for Detroit, and you might see one or two of them this year, and Casey Mize, and maybe one other. But there's not a lot here for me on Tyson Ross.
No, fantasy-wise, nothing really to go off of. Good for him, battling back from that injury. I believe he had that shoulder deal, the nasty one. And so he's, $5.75 million. He was great at times last year, kind of fell off towards the end, kind of expected. He's going to be 32 this year. It's funny, he joins Matt Moore, who they picked up also. I like Tyson Ross a lot better, let's put it that way. But it's interesting because you have Boyd, Fulmer, and Zimmerman, the original three, and you got Ross and Moore filling out the rotation right now. You could see, if baseball wants to take this opener and run with it, this could work with Tyson Ross and Matt Moore. It really could if they want to use that in Detroit. I know not all these teams are going to use it, but there's more and more scenarios. The more you hear coaches talk about it, what our roster is built of. This roster is kind of built to do that. Because you have a couple of guys, like Buck Farmer in the bullpen, Blaine Hardy, former starters in the bullpen. You can kind of make this work. At the same time, it's like you said, this is a Liriano Fires type signing. Tyson Ross will not be on the Tigers after the trade deadline. I will tell you that right now. As long as he doesn't get hurt, he is not going to be wearing a Tigers uniform after the trade deadline. That's pretty plain and simple. That's all they're doing. We're going to give him a quick payday. We're going to trade him for prospects because it worked pretty well last year, and we can do it again. So good signing, both sides. No problems with it there.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. The one that really got my attention today, because there's been lots of rumbling about the Chicago White Sox becoming active and going for it, because I think they sense blood in the water the way the Indians are kind of starting to fade a little bit here. They go out and trade for Ivan Nova. Some people aren't big on Nova. I think it's a great move. He's owed $8.5 million, not a ton. They traded out Yordi Rosario and $500,000 international spending money. Nothing crazy. I don't know a ton about Rosario, but most things I heard, it was mid-level prospect, nothing special. Nova is a great asset to a young team because he goes and eats up innings, doesn't walk a lot of guys, so he can teach the kids stuff. And the biggest thing, like I said, he eats up innings, which a young team, I guess, is going to need. I think he's phenomenal. They need probably one phenomenal for this team. They need one more starter, and then they're only a couple bats away from being very, very interesting once Eloy Jimenez comes up. What's your thoughts on this one, Mo?
I agree with everything you said in terms of an innings eater, and that really takes the toll off a bullpen that really wasn't great last year. I'm really sad that Kopech is out. I really am, because if you put Kopech in front of this with a Carlos Rodon and then hope that you get something from Ronaldo Lopez and Giolito, maybe takes the next step. I mean, those are four young guys with a veteran pitcher who's pitched in New York. He's pitched, sort of in a playoff race for Pittsburgh last year. And the innings eater thing is the number one asset that you have for him. He's not going to kill you, but he's not going to be a 3.5 ERA guy either. He's somewhere in the mid fours most likely, and that's probably better than a James Shields, which they've had to put up with the last few years. So it's just okay. Yeah, like I said, I'm just really sad that Kopech isn't there. They got to take the next step. You're going to see Eloy Jimenez. Hopefully, you're going to see Robert come up at some point this year, and maybe Nick Madrigal really goes through the system fast, which is what a lot of people think is going to happen. Does he make it in his first full season? I don't know. There's an outside possibility, but if you can bring up those three guys, and Nova can help the younger guys mature a little bit, we're going to win some games next year, and then 2020 is when we really make the push.
Yeah, I agree. 2020 is the year for them. They're a move I'd like to see them make because they're talking about spending money, and maybe they get Machado. It's a guy we said for a while. I don't think so, but the rumblings are louder than they've been in a while, so at least it's on the radar. I'd like to go see them go get like Dallas Keuchel. I think that would make that rotation so much stronger. If you don't want to spend that kind of money, go get a Mike Fiers. Just somebody to kind of fill it out a little more. It doesn't have to be fancy by any means, but you got Eloy Jimenez coming up. There was actually rumors today. Hank Schulman of the Giants beat was talking about it. There's teams calling about Brandon Belt because he's owed some money, but he has 10 teams he can say no to. I don't know who those 10 teams are, but I know the White Sox were calling because they want to get rid of Abreu, who's only got like 1 year left, and they want to get a longer-term guy. And they like Belt will be good in almost any ballpark but San Francisco. Like people are going to realize he's got 25 to 30 homers outside of San Francisco pretty easily. I think he'd be a great fit in Chicago. I don't know if he's going to want to go to Chicago, but that's something else to keep an eye on because they're ready to kind of build their team that's going to be together for a while, and they are ready to move on from Abreu right now, which kind of surprised me a little bit.
Why does a guy like Brandon Belt get a no-trade clause or a semi-no-trade clause?
I think he agreed to it in his last deal, his extension. That's about it. Who knows? He doesn't deserve one, but yes,
right.
He got one.
And that concussion thing is scary too. I mean, he's one concussion away from like really being done.
It's the world we live in with these guys these days. It's all they all get what they want, and it's pretty crappy.
But I know it happens in hockey way more than any other sport, but I still don't. Yeah, a Bryce Harper, a Manny Machado, you want no trade clause, sure, but
yeah, not Brandon Belt.
Brandon Belt, get out of here, dude.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right, let's go to the last one here. It is Andrew McCutchen. He signed today, 3 years, $50 million, to sort of fill that Philadelphia outfield out after they traded Carlos Santana. And now Hoskins goes back to first base, which we both agreed was the right move because Hoskins was awful in the outfield. Now you kind of plug him in. Right now, Roster Resource has him third, right in front of Hoskins, in between Gene Segura, who just acquired in that Seattle trade. And this helps him. I know that he defensively wasn't great, Bubba, but getting out of San Francisco has to help his bat a little bit.
Yeah, I think it's a phenomenal move. He really didn't do much when he went to the Bronx out of San Francisco, but I think him in this ballpark, I think is going to be – I like it a lot. I really, really do. I was tweeting about it today. I think, hitting in front of Hoskins will help. Having those speedsters and Hernandez and Segura in front of him, or even if he's batting fifth or sixth in that lineup, it's going to help just playing 81 games a year in Citizens Bank ballpark. Like, he's played in Pittsburgh and San Francisco pretty much his whole career. He had a couple months in New York. He's played most of his career in very, very difficult hitters' ballparks, and now he's going to one of the best hitting ballparks in all of baseball. He's going to flourish there. He's going to have a lot of fans close by from Pittsburgh. I think this is a great place for him. It's smart that he took this deal right now instead of trying to play the game. We've seen guys try to play the game. Next thing you know, you have a 1 year, $9 million deal like a month before the season starts. So I think it's a great move for him. It's a great move for the Phillies, who are going to be going for it right now, and it doesn't lock them down too long. It's not too expensive. Let's say they want to get Trout another year or so, you can trade McCutchen. There's a lot of things you can do. We saw him trade Santana after 1 year. You can move these kind of contracts nowadays way better than you could in years past, it looks like. So there's a different philosophy with it. I like it quite a bit. The Phillies are the whole NL East is going to be really fun to watch this year.
I know that they were going to go get a guy like this, sort of like they did with Santana last year. I still think this has to set up either Machado or Harper. I mean, I know that
they're still supposed to be in it, they said.
Yeah, I no, they're definitely in it. I just think it increases the percentage of them signing one of them. I think also still on the Trout train after 2020. That's definitely going to happen. 100% going to happen. And if they can go get Machado, then they get Trout after next year, we're on. It's on, baby.
Yeah, it's on. It's going to be really, really interesting. So keep an eye on it, and hopefully, come next week, we have another handful of deals to talk about. Because there's so many rumors out there right now.
Oh
Most of
my
them are
God.
probably fake, but like the Rays are about to sign Nelson Cruz. Carlos Santana's about to get traded to 3 other teams. Obviously, the Thor Real Muto stuff. There's stuff everywhere right now. It's fun. It's a great time of year to be a baseball fan. I'm scared that once the meetings are over, it's going to really get quiet, but it's fun while it lasted, at least. So we'll hopefully next week's just as fun as this. All right, let's get to some MLB news, not transaction stuff. Jason Stark wrote a great article, and props to Jason Stark, just got put into the Baseball Hall of Fame as a writer in the writer's wing for this year. He wrote about banning the shift in baseball. He's heard a lot of rumors about it. We've heard about it too, but he's actually heard a lot more stuff, like from Rob Manfred and other teams, and wrote about it on The Athletic. Really interesting stuff. Some pros have come out, like Joey Gallo and everything, saying, yes, ban the shift. Some people are like, no, this is ridiculous. Learn how to hit a baseball. There's guys on the new Blue Jays manager flat out said, we're going to keep shifting. If they can't do it, you have to figure out how to hit. It's very simple. So there's a lot of different ways to approach this, but he talks about how it also correlates with the more strikeouts, more launch angles. It's not just guys, the shifts factored so much in the game. So what's your thoughts on this?
There's some things I took away from the article. Number one is, quote, I think it's a layup to get approved by the players, says one front office man. So as you mentioned Joey Gallo, you can talk about Bryce Harper. It's going to help the lefties a whole bunch. And what they're talking about is you have to have at least 2 players on the left side of second base and on the right side of second base. You can't go throw three infielders on the other side of second base when there's a lefty up. I've always said when we did talk about these changes that I thought that the only change they could probably make is not throwing a guy way deep in the outfield, which, you've seen the second baseman out there, even some teams third base out there because it's really like a third baseman's throw, so that they're a little bit used to it. I thought that change could make, and now they're talking about that if they do make this change, how do you really – the teams could get around it by saying, okay, we're playing 4 outfielders this time. Because at the end of games, sometimes when there's bases loaded or something like that, and it's very rare that it happens, you've got to throw a 5th infielder in there just to not let it get to the outfield, because anything that gets to the outfield, if there's less than 2 outs, would be a run, no matter what. I mean, really, that's what it is. And this is really with a fast guy on third base. So I don't know how they're going to make this change, but it sounds like a lot of the players want it. I know. Did we talk about Arrieta last year? Was pissed about the Phillies shifting so much, and they were the worst at it.
Yeah, he hated it.
Yeah, he hated it a lot because there'd be a ball that goes up the middle, and maybe they're able to get it out because of the shift. But then there'll be a ball in the literally at shortstop where a guy normally would be, and he's not there because of the shift. A few other things that were in here in terms of facts were about 8,000 more shifts in 2018 than it was in 2017 in balls in play. A lot, and then 28,000 more shifts than there was 5 years ago. That's a lot. It's just the 2 infielders. I think you agree with me. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see it done. I want them to just play. You've got to somehow get around it. You can't just say, I get the point, well, just bunt to the left side or just take it the other way. It's tough. It's not easy. Hitting a baseball is the toughest thing to do in sports. And all of a sudden, we need a guy like Joey Gallo to change his swing. How does this help the launch angle? If they do it, teams will change their approach. I think if it does happen, Bubba, and this is my last thought on this, is it's going to take a few years for us to see the data in terms of, okay, did teams change their approach? Are they trying to hit the ball on the ground now instead of the whole launch angle thing where I'm trying to get it over the fielders because I have to hit it as hard as I possibly can because they're so far out there in the outfield. And David Ortiz, maybe he comes back to the Red Sox because of everything, because he always said that he had like 1,000 hits taken away from him, which probably way too much, but you get the point.
I think what needs to be done is, it was a great idea I heard. If they are going to do this, which I don't want them to do, but it seems like it's going to be kind of one of those inevitable things. It's coming. They better factor in where the outfielders are, because you can probably shift an outfielder over there pretty easily. Have the rover or something. You can make that work. But B, is they said, just like the pitch clock and everything, start it in the minors. So eventually, in a few years, these guys are used to it when it comes up to the bigs. Let them start adapting to it there. Maybe down there they they start hitting differently, or they do something different to play around with it. They field it differently, whatever. There's a lot of ways to go about it. But start it in the minors. And then that wave of players can adjust to it in the bigs. I'd say something along those lines, or at least test it, see how it works type stuff. But, I hope they don't do it, because it's just scary when you start talking about stuff like that. What else are they going to change in the game? Like, is it mandatory on a 3-1 pitch you have to groove a fastball now? Or what are they going to do? Like, you're going to start taking away all the strategy in the game. That's kind of pointless. That's part of the best part about baseball, is it's a giant chess match between two teams. So if you can't do stuff like that, it's pretty stupid.
Yeah, agreed. All right, let's get to another stupid thing. A different committee. There's like 18,000 committees now for the Hall of Fame, which is, you've heard of the Veterans Committee. There's like other ones that just are out there. And what they've done this week is they've elected Lee Smith. I start with him because I think that's less controversial, although it's a little bit controversial. And Harold freaking Baines to the Hall of Fame. Go ahead, Bubba.
Yeah, Lee Smith, I guess. I still don't think he was that great. Like, I think his is more of an attrition thing. He pitched for so long, he got the numbers. He was a good pitcher. So, okay, whatever. I don't think it's worth it, but whatever. Harold Baines, I'm sorry. He's in the Hall of Good, maybe very good. He's not in the Hall of Fame. My lifelong fandom for a guy like Will Clark. Will Clark was better than Harold Baines. There are so many players that were better than Harold Baines. It blows my mind that he gets into the Hall of Fame. And I like these committees, like, because they got certain guys in last year. Like you said, these are different committees. Each committee gets to vote like every 4 or 5 years. So it's not the same one every year, which kind of sucks. But if this is the case, man, like, I don't know. You're going to start getting some really not so good players in here that really starts to ruin the kind of what the Hall of Fame is all about. It's supposed to be prestigious and everything. It's like Harold Baines is going to go in over Barry Bonds and Roger Clemens. I don't even care if they did steroids or not. Like, they're so much better than Harold Baines. We're just like really going down a path that I can sit here and blabber about for a long time and name off a lot of players that are better than Harold Baines. Like Edgar Martinez better get in this year because Harold Baines is getting in. There is a list of things that just makes no sense with Harold Baines getting in here. It's nothing against Harold Baines as a player. He's just not a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, I completely agree. Harold Baines should not be in. The guy played 22 seasons, and that's how he was able to get so close to 3,000 hits. His best season, he was ninth in MVP. He was only a 6-time All-Star. He was only in top 20 in the MVP 4 times from 1982 to 1985. It just shouldn't happen. It should not happen. Lee Smith, he's 3rd in saves all time. So it's less controversial, like you said, but he pitched a long time as well. If Lee Smith gets in, Billy Wagner better get in, because Billy Wagner was so much better than Lee Smith. I'm not sure it's close, actually. He just was so much better. And now Mo Rivera should get 100%. And if Lee Smith is in, all these closers from this era, they're going to get in. All of them. They better get in. They really better. It's just this Hall of Fame is the most prestigious Hall of Fame. It's probably better than the NFL because you just don't let everybody in. And because you've done this, the floodgates could just open. And like you said, Barry Bonds, Roger Clemens, put the cheating aside. Everyone was cheating, okay?
Exactly. That's the thing. Everybody was cheating.
They better be in, because you know what? It's the Hall of Fame. And at the time, I don't care if no one was cheating, they still would have been the best at their respective positions. So you have to let them in. It has to change. And I think it's going to take a little bit because, like I said, these older writers, I listen to Don Shaughnessy. Dan Shaughnessy 2 hours a week because he's on my favorite Boston radio show. And I have to listen to him talk about, well, they cheated. They cheated. They cheated. Get over it, Dan, okay? Everyone did it. They were the best they were the best cheaters that they possibly could be. We know that. Let them in. Let them all in now. This is what you've done now with this goddamn committee. I don't even know who's on it.
Yeah, this is really, really bad. Like, we might just, if we have a really slow week, we might just go down a list of play. We might create our own Hall of Fame list. This is it's bad. When I saw this, I was just like, is this like an April Fool's joke in December? This is bad.
Could be after Christmas, yeah.
Yeah, I really don't know how this happened. It's like you got guys like Jack Morris and stuff that could barely get in, and then Harold Baines gets in on this committee. Like, yeah, I just don't get it at all.
Yeah.
All right, one that you could have saw coming when the ink dried last year. Brandon Morrow, who the Cubs signed, and then he thought, well, you gave him a lot of money for a guy that's always hurt. Yep, he's hurt. Underwent elbow surgery on November 6th. He's going to be on the shelf for quite a while. He's going to miss opening day. Who knows how long this is going to take. He's supposed to be back, I'm guessing May, June. But we'll see. You know how this stuff goes. He's 34 years old. It's not going to heal quickly. The Cubs are kind of already on the wavering line of what can we do. They can't spend a lot of money right now. This is not good, Mo.
Yeah, Pedro Strop is supposedly going to be their closer opening up, and they've got Carl Edwards as their setup guy. They've got to figure something out there in that bullpen. I think they need one, maybe two guys in there. It just doesn't look great. I mean, the name recognition on the rotation, Lester, Hendricks, Quintana, Hamels, Darvish, I mean, that rotation should be very good, but I think we all know what Darvish has been the last couple of years. Quintana took a step back last year. Hendricks was rough to start and then better to end. Lester is going to be 35. Hamels is 35. I just don't like that pitching. I said last year, I'll say it again, the Brewers are ready to take over. They did it last year. The Cardinals are pushing to take over. This could be the year that the Cubs fully miss the playoffs, and their system isn't good. They took a chance on Morrow. We both said it. There's no way he's able to go a full season, and he didn't. And now he's going to miss maybe a month of the beginning of the season. It could be more. This is trouble right now. Trouble.
Yeah.
Last one before we get to a fantasy segment. This came out today. The Blue Jays are releasing Troy Tulowitzki. He's really done nothing the last 3 years. They're going to eat the last 2 years and the buyout in 2021. And this did not work out well for the Toronto Blue Jays. I forget who posted it, but posted the playoff preview on Sports Illustrated, and it was all the Blue Jays that just aren't there anymore. Joey Bats, Edwin Encarnacion, Donaldson, Price, the whole lot of them, and they're all gone. And now it's Vlad Jr.'s time and Bo Bichette and whoever else is coming up. But the Tulowitzki experiment is over. So thoughts on that, and then you can answer this question. Is his career over, or do we see him end up maybe in a place where they sign him to a 1-year, $3 million deal, and he sort of gets something back?
Well, two things. I think Ruddig posted that picture.
Yes. Yep. That's who it was.
And I think this is amazing because they basically just got rid of $38 million by cutting him. Like, they still have to pay it. And now, because of that, any team can sign him at the league minimum, $600,000.
Yeah.
A 1 year, $600,000 deal. So I think someone's definitely going to take a try. Of course, he's already saying he went to Long Beach State in college. He said he's been training there, practicing there. He's in the best shape he's been in a long, long time. Best shape of your life type stuff, the typical off-season stuff. But I was sitting there pondering it. I think, what do the Yankees have to lose while Didi's out? Throwing him at shortstop. That's not a horrible one. He's mentioned he's a Bay Area guy, a California guy. He'd like to go to like the A's, which is interesting. If you can put him at second, why Franklin Barreto still gets better if they don't bring Jed Lowry back. So that's an interesting play. There's a lot of ways you can work this, because if you get a guy that, if he's just can kind of find his stroke a little bit, can fall into 20 homers for $600,000, I don't see what you have to lose here. I think he's going to end up somewhere. He might only have 1 year left or whatever, but he's definitely getting another shot.
What about a Pittsburgh Pirates move?
Yeah, he could hold up shortstop until they bring their prospect up this year. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was in the fall league this year, played really, really well, and he's supposed to be up by the end of the year. That could be a definite spot. A lot of those little spots like that are worth the gamble that you could try on all these, young teams trying to contend. You could have him as a bench player that can play a couple positions. The Phillies, the White Sox, a lot of these teams that just have to sit there and play second short a couple times a week or something. $600,000 is nothing.
Yeah. Cole Tucker is the name you're looking for.
Yes, Cole Tucker, exactly.
But, I mean, right now, the Pirates have Adam Frazier at second. They got Eric Gonzalez at short. There's just, Moran's at third. There's just an opportunity there for him, and they obviously want to compete. They traded a couple of their guys for Archer, so they want to be there. And you got a guy like Joe Musgrove who's taking the next step. Tyon maybe can take that next step. That rotation doesn't look terrible. They signed Keone Kela as well, or they traded for him last year. So this is a team that would make sense for me.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Heck, he's like a perfect team guy to go to the Marlins or something. It's just there's a lot of ways this could work out. It'll be really interesting to see where he lands though, because I don't think he's done by any means, and it kind of be fun to see him have one good year, but I don't know if that's gonna happen.
34 years old, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's talk some fantasy baseball. NFBC ADPs have been out and about. They got about 15 drafts locked in now. Last time we talked, it was 8 or 9. So more and more starting to fill out. The ADPs update when a whole draft is completed, not in between drafts. So that's why it takes some time. But we're going to talk about a couple players here and there that are going lower than we thought that kind of stand out to you. So, Mo, who is one player that stands out to you and why?
Yeah, I got a couple here, and I haven't done all of my rankings yet. Just haven't had the time, but I hope to get that done, by Christmas. One guy I'm looking at, 30th outfielder, 113th overall, and that's Michael Conforto. We all know what happened to him last year. He was rushed back with a shoulder injury. It was a shoulder injury, right? Not knee. It was shoulder.
Yeah, shoulder.
Yeah, shoulder injury, and he was back a week into the season, which no one expected. Everyone thought mid-May at the earliest. And his first half was just garbage. It wasn't good. He was only, he started off a little bit hot, and then it really, really cooled off. He batted 198 in June, batted 216 overall. In the second half, seemed like he got a little bit healthier. Batted 273, 17 homers, 52 RBIs. A hard hit, went up. Everything really went up. And the one thing that led me to not really give up on him per se, I wasn't starting him every day, obviously. But the walk percentage was still there. So the plate discipline was there. He just didn't have the strength in that shoulder to really hit the ball hard and put the barrel on the ball. So I really think that he's at that price, 30th, someone that I'll wait on maybe, and I'm able to maybe fill in other positions that I think are maybe don't have as much depth. So that's the one thing I'm looking at. Curious to hear your thoughts, and then I'd like maybe to ask your question, maybe a comparison on who you would take over him that are in front of him.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great one. I think we're going to see his number kind of climb as reports come out that he's healthy and whatnot, because you'll mention a couple guys that are ahead of him or around him right now that I could definitely go over top of real quick. I'd probably move him up to at least 25th or close to right behind 25 there. I'd jump over about 4 players for sure. So I think Conforto's a great player. I think, if fully healthy, he's a top 20 outfielder potentially by season's end. It's pretty loaded. There's a lot of really good outfielders there, but it wouldn't shock me if he's up there around the top 20 mark. So I think it's a great call.
Do you think Conforto or Justin Upton?
See, that's tough because part of me when I draft, especially early round stuff and, 15-team league, Upton's still like a 5th, 6th round pick. He is the model of consistency. You literally look at his baseball card, you are getting this number. Now, if you want to shoot for the moon early in your draft, I like to shoot for the moon late in the draft. If you shoot for him early in the draft, then you take Conforto over. That's what you would do. I think I'd rather go Upton, especially around there. Around Upton, you have Rosario and Haniger. I might take Conforto over Rosario and Haniger, but I really like what Upton has, and it seems like every year, right now his ADP is a 24th outfielder. He seems to drop as draft season gets closer, which really catches my attention.
Yeah, probably because of average or something like that. But Mitch Haniger or Conforto?
Conforto.
Yeah, okay. This one, I know the answer, but I think it's interesting to look at both profiles and wonder about it. And I get it's the steals that really puts him over the top. But Fordo or Cody Bellinger.
Whew.
It's the Seals that puts him over.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Cody Bellinger guy, as
I'm
we
not
know.
either.
I was digging in on him on Saturday, and I had sent Sporer a message, Jeff Zimmerman. I had a bunch of questions. Like, it opened my eyes on what in the hell happened here, because we could do a deep dive on Cody later. His overall numbers dropped like crazy, but if you look like his advanced stats, his hard hit rate was very similar. His fly ball rate was similar. A lot of things were very similar to the year before, and somehow it was weird. Like, it was really weird. But
home run for fly ball, it goes from 25% to 15%.
Yeah, that one dropped tremendously. I think that was the biggest one, but all the other ones, like I was comparing Baseball Savant, Fangraphs, I was going through all different sites, and it was a lot closer than it should have been for that big of a dramatic shift. Is what kind of caught my attention. I think I would still take Bellinger, but that's maybe come draft day. I don't know. I really just don't like Cody Bellinger. And people called me crazy last year when I had him so low. I have him low again this year.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, I think it's the steals potential. You know, he had 14 last season. You got a guy that has possible 30 power, 15 to 20 steals, depending on his on base percentage. But yeah, it's closer than you think. If Conforto could steal a little bit, it might be Conforto, but he doesn't. So that's I think an interesting one where you got him as the 30th outfielder, and it just. Its outfield is loaded. It really is. So it's somebody that you might be able to wait and say to yourself, okay, I'm going to draft, my second baseman or my third baseman or my shortstop early, and then I can get a guy like Conforto, if it's a 15-team league, you get him in the 7th, 8th round, something like that. It's not terrible.
You do Conforto or Springer?
Ooh. What's Springer going? He's going.
He's right behind Bellinger.
Yeah. I know the power went down, but I think he was hurt a little bit last year and didn't steal many bases. I probably still go Springer.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to go to the shortstop position. One that stands out to everybody is Carlos Correa going 45th overall, so I'm not going to talk about him. I think that's a nice bounce-back candidate. The one I'm going to talk about, recently traded Jean Segura. The 11th shortstop off the board, going around pick 83. The top 10 shortstops go 53 or above, and then there's literally like a 30-pick gap before you get to Jean Segura. This guy is going to run for days. He's going to be hitting towards the top of a very potent lineup in Philadelphia. He's going to be on a contender. I don't understand this. He gets disrespected almost every year when it comes to draft season. And if I can get Jean Segura in, say, round 6, maybe, late 5th or 6th round, compared to these other guys, it's outstanding. If you want to wait at shortstop, it is stupid deep this year, like stupid deep. But Jean Segura is a top caliber shortstop, and he's going like there's one guy for sure. I'll get your opinion in a second, but Gleyber Torres is going 30 picks ahead of him. I will take Jean Segura all day long. So what's your thoughts on Jean Segura?
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, you look at his 2016 season where he actually got to 20 homers, and he was able to steal 33 bases, and obviously the steals went down a little bit the last 2 years. He's going to a better ballpark. So you have to think he hits more than 10, 11 homers. He's probably got more like 15 to 20 homer potential here. It'd be nice if he was a lefty, because that short point field would be really nice for him to hit. But he still should benefit from that change from Safeco to Citizens Bank. And the steals I would think would go up. I really do. I really think they're going to be there. Like you said, the lineup, I mean, I know he had Cano and Cruz behind him. You have to hope that maybe they sign Machado. So now you got Hoskins and Machado behind him. That could be really, really good. I completely agree with you on Gleyber. I wouldn't go. Look, I know Gleyber has the potential to be a stud, right? In 2016, he stole 21 bases, 2015, 22 in the minors, and then he just stopped running. Last year, he had 7 total, 6 in the majors. I wonder whether he's going to run a little bit. That's the thing we don't really know about. But with that lineup, it's probably unlikely that he'll be running a ton. And that kind of kills his value a little bit. So I completely agree with you on Segura. I think I'd take him over Gleyber as well.
Well, when you got Glaber is likely going to be batting ninth, which
Yeah.
is also another massive, like, what the hell? Do you take Gene Segura or Adalberto Mondesi, who's going almost 40 picks ahead of him?
So I'm not anywhere near Alberto Mondesi. I'm not. I'm going to be one of those guys that just won't go anywhere near that guy.
The rest of it is it's such a big jump. But kind of like you have Bogarts, Correa, that whatever. If you want to pay up, that's fine. What's your thoughts on a guy going 8 picks after him and Corey Seager?
I mean, do we really know what he's going to be when he comes back? I know it was a Tommy John on his shoulder, so as a fielder, it's a little bit easier to come back. Obviously, the lineup's going to be very good. It's just the steals. You look at it this way with Segura, he's going to be batting 300, okay, which is what Seager will probably be. He's going to steal 20 bases minimum with upside of probably 30, and then there's the possibility he could hit the same amount of homers as Corey Seager. So I think you go Segura there against him, but a Seager compared to, if I'm going to draft Mondesi where he is or Seager where he is, I'll draft Seager where he is, and then I'll go find steals somewhere else.
Yeah, all day long. Like the guy that, if you want Mondesi type stats, draft Jose Peraza at pick 102. You have a lot better chances there 50 picks later, basically. So,
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys. Shortstop's really, really deep, so a lot of different ways you can go. So, who you got next?
My other one really, because I haven't had the time to do my rankings, but I've got Rougned Odor. I really like what he did in the second half last year. He only played in 120 games, but first half, second half, his hard hit was 39 to 50%. He was 12 for 24 in steals. So the last 2 seasons, he's stolen the same amount. He's just got caught a bunch last year. He doubled his walk percentage from 2017 to 2018. And if you look at after his 2016 season that he played under 30 homers, he stole – I have his page up right here. 33 homers in 2016, stole 14 bases. He had 271 average, and he stole 14 bases where really he only attempted around like 17 or 18, I think. So he's attempted way more in the last 2 years. And that walk rate was the lowest that has been in his career. He was 36th overall in NFBC in 2017. That was his ADP. And now we're talking 10th second baseman, 121st overall. Like I said, if I go to his second half splits, I mean, they were awesome. And he's going to get close to 30 homers if he plays every day. That infield fly ball was way down. I mean, he lowered that. Sure, his fly ball percentage from first half, second half went down a little bit, but he was making more contact. He was swinging at less pitches out of the zone. So that plate discipline is really the thing that you look for with a guy like that, who this plate discipline was just awful in 2017. I mean, we all know that. If you drafted him where he was, which was 15-team league, early third round, something like that, that's not a good return. What you got, you really probably dropped by August. I like him a lot, and I think he's going to steadily go up a little bit, as we see more drafts being completed.
Yeah, I think that's a steal, a massive steal. Looking at my second base rankings, I have him 6th, and I might even move him up to 5th. I have Ozzie Albies right in front of him. I might move him over Ozzie Albies. I think, like you said, he's got a good floor of like 20-20 with 30-30 upside. His average will definitely be better than last year. The changes you saw were great. He's got no one – like part of last year, he was getting rotated around. They were moving guys around the infield a lot. They were sitting them. He's got nothing to worry about this year. They're rebuilding. He's their second baseman. So I think getting him around pick 117 is a hell of a deal, like a really, really good deal. And he should flourish for you this year. You'd imagine he's not going to revert back to what he was. There's a lot to like going forward.
Yeah, and you look at second base too, Bubba, just real quick, and I'm not going anywhere. I get Baez has position eligibility at pretty much every infield position, right? Not going anywhere near him. We talked about, Altuve is the interesting one because he was, second, third pick last year, and because he was hurt, he went way down, probably, second round, late first. That's an interesting one for me to take a look at early. But other than that, I'm not sure I'm going to go near Albies or Torres Scooter Gennett's an interesting one if he gets, I know that Cincinnati's a very good ballpark to hit in. There's rumors with him possibly going to the Dodgers. That would be interesting because he'd improve lineup wise. And probably, I wonder if he bet second or not in that lineup. That's something to see. And then you look at the rest of them. I mean, Jonathan VR, I know they've talked about, a lot of people have talked about him in Baltimore. He's going to steal a lot. They're going to be really bad. They're going to let him just run. So that's a cheap way to steal D. Gordon if you're into that sort of thing. And then after that, it's a lot of question marks with Moncada, Dozier, Daniel Murphy. Whether Jeff McNeil even plays is the question. It's just, there's just a lot of question marks, and I don't think second base is as deep as we think it maybe is. So that's one that if I'm going to get Odor, it's got to happen, or I get Altuve maybe in the second round if he drops that far. But other than that, I'm not sure I'm going to be taking a lot of these guys.
Yeah, second base is not nearly what it used to be. There's a lot of okay guys, but nothing really standing out like other positions. That's for sure.
Yep.
My last guy, it could be Andrew McCutchen now. Going pick 173, I think, is a steal playing in Philadelphia. But the guy I was going to mention is on the Texas Rangers also. He's the 41st outfielder off the board. He's going about pick 156. Nomar Mazara. He's still very, very young, still finding his groove. And I think he's in for a big, big year, 30-plus homer type upside. Not the best average guy in the world, but not going to crush you either. I think he's a pretty decent OBP type guy. But the power is insane there. I think Mazara is in for a big, big year there in Texas. And getting him about pick 156 is rather nice. That's into the 11th round in a 15-team league.
Yeah, I almost put him down, honestly. I almost had him as my third guy or even my second guy. That Texas lineup, Bubba, you mentioned Mazara. I mean, they've got a lot of interesting players in that lineup. We've always talked about how good when they were in their prime, won a couple World Series, the lineup was awesome, right? This lineup isn't terrible. You got a guy like, is Willie Cahoon actually going to get a shot? That's somebody to watch out for. Ton of power. Profar, did very, very good last year. Finally, he's healthy. He's still only 20. It's going to be a 26-year-old season. Who's at the top right now? Odor, Andrews, your boy Mazara, you just mentioned. Lineup's not terrible in Texas.
Yeah, it's not terrible. He's going to get his at-bats. It'll be interesting to see how it all unfolds because they're pitching so bad in Texas, but that doesn't affect Mazara at all. So that's the good part. And he could be in for a really big year. And he's around guys like right behind him is Brandon Nimmo. Right ahead of him is Ian Desmond. I like Yasiel Puig. I like that. But like Steven Piscotty, Ender and Ciarte are going in front of him. Michael Brantley, Will Myers. I think if you're looking for power, he's better than both those guys. So it's going to be really interesting to see how this keeps unfolding as we get through the draft season, get into, like, say, January and February. But right now, a guy like Mazara stands out a lot. Like I just said, Andrew McCutchen, he's going to go up a good chunk, I think, after that deal to Philadelphia as well.
So one question, I know he did have a good second half, or he did have a good first half, not a great second half, not a lot of power. Are you worried about his ground ball percentage as well?
Yeah, that's one of those things that he's so young. I can see him still working on that in the offseason. It's one of those things we see these guys come back after an offseason and change things. I'd imagine they're going to work on him with that. It's not ideal by any means. But no, I think they got to get that figured. That power is as legit as it comes. They just got to figure out how to maximize it, I guess.
Yeah, because he, the season before, like 2017, I'm trying to look at it right now. Yeah, so it did go way up. I mean, 55%. 2017, I believe it was around like 47. So it did go up. But yeah, that's something, especially in the launch angle era, that they have to figure out. But like you said, he is young. It's his 24-year-old season. You got to hope that they kind of figure it out. I'm just not. What do you think is his ceiling in terms of power?
I'd say 35-ish homers, 35 to 40.
Really?
I think he's got legit power.
Yeah, no, he does, but it's almost like, and I know it's tougher to do with average. You talk about Chris Davis and his same average the last three seasons. Nomar Mazara the last three seasons, 20, 20, 20 in homers. So I probably disagree with you there. I'm not sure if he can get to 35, but I do. But he is young, and he can improve if he gets that fly ball percentage a little bit higher. Maybe he can get close to 30.
And playing in that ballpark never sucks.
No, it never sucks at all.
All right, that'll wrap us up this week, Mo. Any final thoughts on episode 92?
No, I think next week is the week that we really, well, it's first off, it's the last show before Christmas in terms of on a Tuesday, so I have to figure that whole thing out. But next week. There should be a lot of fireworks. I have to think that there's going to be a bunch of trades done tomorrow, Thursday, Friday as the winter meetings sort of wind down.
Yeah, they're saying on MLB Network this afternoon that there's like 4 or 5 trades that are very close to happening, if they're going to happen. If not, it's one of those that they just don't happen, period. So we'll see how that all unravels. It's going to be a lot of fun. But until then, check out Mo on Twitter at Boston_Mo. The podcast is at Around Bases Pod. I am at BDintric. Give us a rating and review on iTunes. We'd much, much appreciate it. And until then, have a happy holidays. We will catch you guys next week. This is Around the Base with Bubba Mo, episode 92.
See ya.